Okay, this was the week where the nation marked a year of Biden's presidency, or a year since Bernie Sanders froze his ass off in that folding chair and became like an icon for mittens and cynicism at the same time. Um, Biden has done a lot, like winning the presidency. That was a good moment when he won and assumed office. We didn't think that would happen. That was good. But he's fallen short in a lot of ways. And I wanted to play a couple clips because I really appreciated Mehdi Hasan of MSNBC's streaming show, who had a short little roundup. What are the things Biden's done well? What are the things that he has not done well? Here are Biden's successes, according to Mehdi Hasan.
Start the clock. In his first year in office, Joe Biden succeeded on vaccines. 500,000 shots in arms, 3 out of 4 Americans now with at least one dose, boosters available for adults, vaccines available for most kids. He succeeded on jobs, adding more jobs to the economy, nearly 6 million than any other first-year president in history. In fact, unemployment in America is now at its lowest rate for 52 years. He succeeded in doing what Barack Obama couldn't and getting more than $1 trillion of relief and stimulus to millions of Americans. In fact, a whopping $1.9 trillion in the form of the American Rescue Plan, which included things like direct checks worth $1,400, more money for Medicaid, COBRA subsidies, extra unemployment support, and of course expanded child tax credit, which helped cut child poverty in half. He succeeded in doing what Trump couldn't and getting a bipartisan infrastructure bill passed. More than $1 trillion for roads, railways, bridges, and broadband. Got 17 Republican senators on board for it, including Mitch McConnell. He succeeded in appointing more new federal judges than any president since Ronald Reagan, and the most diverse group of new judges ever, including the first Muslim American and the first openly gay woman to sit on a federal appeals court. He succeeded in ending the Muslim ban and rejoining the Paris climate change agreement. He succeeded in ending America's longest war and pulling out of Afghanistan. And of course, after 4 years of Trump, Joe Biden succeeded in bringing some civility, decency, and sanity back to the White House.
Then the clock ran out, but I think it's fake. I think that was more than a minute.
I think so too.
Yeah, right. Because it's funny because he's like, "Huh," and then you hear the buzzer. It's a little bit later. We'll hear it. We'll hear it in the second one. But yeah, okay. So there's the good things. I gotta say, out of all those things, I did like the child tax credit, even though I don't have kids. But I really enjoyed. Well, I didn't really enjoy, but I really thought it was important for the United States to get out of Afghanistan. Out of all the successes, it's the one that will not curry me favor with mainstream media at all, who've also, by the way, forgotten about Afghanistan since the entire sort of the mess of withdrawing, which was, as we've said before, going to be a mess anyway. But that to me was like, okay, Joe, go it alone, Joe. Just fucking do it. Because like so many people wanted that to happen. The war is unpopular. The war is the longest war in American history. That to me was a good point. Now, I'm not saying the United States won't reinvade Afghanistan, because I literally have like a bet going on that we will.
I'd like to get in on that bet. I think I'm sure they will. Yeah.
Right? Like Ted Cruz is going to be like, think of the women.
Yeah.
Children. And we're going to be right back in. But there were some good things. I don't know, Will, thoughts on the good stuff, like the 1.9 trillion, American Rescue Plan, the shots in arms.
The shots in arms I'm really excited about. And then it's like they say that number like it's going to go up, but everyone who's got the vax is done. There's like, there's no people like, oh, I'm going to get it now. It's like, no, it's everybody's got it who's going to get it. But that's pretty good. The child tax credit, there is like some weird shit with taxes, I know. So like we got the child tax credit, but I guess it's it would have come to us during tax time, but we got it early, so I guess like it's gonna affect our tax. I haven't gotten a refund in years, but I guess I don't know what that's
like. It should be. You should be able to deduct it. Like that's the idea.
Yeah. I don't know why I don't get a refund. Also, don't people get refunds? I stopped getting a refund like last year.
Interesting. You mean for dependents or just general? Oh, a refund.
Just general. Yeah.
First of all, we know that Trump's tax overhaul and his tax breaks for the 1% fucked over people like myself and maybe yourself, people who are like independent contractors, people who use a lot of 1099s. Like we were not able to write off a bunch of stuff, and a lot of blue states, the taxes that you pay, like usually you can deduct what you pay on a state level from your federal, and that was out the window too. So we've been getting fucked.
Oh, that's what it is then. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. I didn't do enough research, but I was like, hey, this sucks. I remember when I was a teacher, I got money back, and now I don't. Yeah.
No, exactly. But I mean, the child tax credit is huge, and that should be coming through in this tax season, but it
Okay,
is
good. Yeah.
over in that, like, it doesn't continue on into 2022, sadly. And that is the thing that was extended in the Build Back Better Act, but that's not passed. So
Yeah.
yeah, so there's some good stuff. Let's move over to the failures, some of the things that weren't so good. I thought Mehdi, again, did a very fair job of announcing or summing up some of the failures of the Biden administration in the last year.
Start the clock. In his first year in office, Joe Biden failed to shut down the virus as he said he would. In fact, he failed to see both the Delta and Omicron variants coming and then falsely claimed no one else saw it coming, and the pandemic now continues to blight America. He failed to ramp up COVID testing over Christmas. He failed to get Big Pharma to drop their COVID vaccine patents. He failed to keep inflation under control. It reached the highest rate for nearly 40 years. He failed to pass a $15 minimum wage. He didn't cancel $10,000 of student debt as he said he would. He failed to pass gun reform, immigration reform, and the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. Failed to pass the For the People Act. Failed to pass the Freedom to Vote Act. Failed to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, and failed to do all of that because he didn't fight hard enough or soon enough to get rid of the filibuster. He also failed to pass the Build Back Better social spending bill, thereby failing to bring in things like universal pre-K, paid family leave, and new money for climate change. He failed to repeal Title 42, the cruel Trump-era rule used to expel immigrants at the southern border before they could even claim asylum. He failed to shut down Guantanamo Bay, failed to rejoin the Iran nuclear deal, failed to end the Saudi war in Yemen or hold MBS to account for killing Jamal Khashoggi, and failed to punish anyone in the military for a drone strike that killed 10 innocent Afghans, including 7 kids, as we pulled out of Afghanistan last August. And Joe Biden, of course, above all else, failed to do what he claimed he could do and what many of us said he couldn't, which was make nice with the Republican Party and unify the country.
Wow.
That one hit for me. Like I again agree with a lot of what Mehdi has to say, and I think that is really right on. I mean, basically, there's all these promises, and specifically the promise of uniting the country, and the idea that he would get Republicans on board, and sure, and like we wouldn't even need to reform the filibuster because everyone's for voting rights, right, guys? Like that didn't happen. So there's so much that there's just so much that's clear that if it didn't happen now, I think a lot of us are feeling like it may not happen in the long run. There are some things that Biden overturned that Trump did. One of the big things for me that he didn't overturn yet, which what Mehdi referenced, was Title 42, which I don't know, Will, if you know about this, but it's this like basically emergency like it's an emergency decree that allows us to refuse any asylum seekers into the United States while there's a pandemic. So that's why you have like massive amounts of Haitian migrants, at the border, and are like being systematically turned away, not to mention chased on horseback.
Jesus.
But like,
I saw that. Yeah.
And how messed up that was. But so exactly. And they're like, well, and they're totally using the pandemic as this excuse to just deport more people,
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah. Like that's really easy. Anyway, they've got COVID. Like COVID's coming from the inside. You're like, no. So
they got it because they had to go to work at Amazon.
Bezos is like, if there's a way they could fill in for our workers, I'll take them. But on that point of working with Republicans, this is Biden on he had a 2-hour press conference this week, and I'm just going to ignore the fact that my man seems really tired, and I don't want to sound like a right winger who's like, he's got cognitive decline. He probably has cognitive decline. Like, I'm not going to lie, but I say that with like a lot of, like no hate. It happens. But there were a few points. And one of the points was, he says, look, I didn't know the Republicans wouldn't want to work with me. What do you guys think of this?
I did not anticipate that there'd be such a stalwart effort to make sure that the most important thing was that President Biden didn't get anything done. Think about this. What are Republicans for? What are they for? Name me one thing they're for.
Hotter M&Ms. Sexy bad bitches covered in chocolate coating, crunchy. No, they're what are they? It's a good point, right? What are they for? But what the problem is that he didn't anticipate that they weren't going to work with him. I don't know, Will. You saw January 6th and that whatever,
I saw that, and I saw 8 years of Obama being president, and it's just like, they made it pretty clear back then. And that was like very openly more racist in the fact that it was like, we just don't want the black guy to get this thing passed. And it's like that came so obvious that they that Trump came into play. So it's like, you didn't see why Trump was here. Like it's a big part of what they're all about, is like making sure that this progressive stuff doesn't pass. It's like he's saying it like it's not 2022, and we all know this.
I know, and that's so sad to me that, like, most of us comment, like, yeah, there hasn't even been that, like, inventory or that, postmortem on what the fuck happened in 2016. How did we go from Obama to Trump,
Yeah.
and how we allowed Republicans to stymie almost everything that Obama wanted to get done, including, I mean, essentially stripping out like a public option, which really was for all corporate Democrats as well. But
Yeah.
like, do you not see that you are like, are we not learning those lessons, and that people just chose someone who like could talk a big tough game and was like, both parties are crap and only I can solve everything, and I'm going to be anti-establishment. I'm going to be racist as shit too. But that's
Yeah.
it's like a bonus, you know what I mean? To me also, like, being self-funded and not part of the swamp, blah blah blah.
And then he took credit for stuff Obama did, because Obama's did it at the end of his tenure. So he was like, and then through in my term, this happened. It's like,
greatest economy. Look at how great the job numbers. Like, sir, it's February. Okay, you just got into office. Totally, yeah. And so, yeah, that's sad that he didn't see that coming, and also disingenuous.
Yes. And also, he
not coming.
He wasn't the one to unite anyway. So I mean, he just wasn't the guy. He can't do it. He doesn't know how to. I don't think he's the right. I think you need a younger person. Personally, I hope that's not ageist, but
no. But
you want everyone in the country to come behind you, it's like you need somebody not his age.
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure, like, moving forward, he doesn't have a captivating message or vision. The vision was, I'm not Trump. Like, let's stop the madness, put out the goddamn fire. I'm going to be, the literal wet blanket. And we're like, oh, thanks. We need a wet blanket. In fact.
Yeah.
And now we're like, oh God, this blanket is really wet. I didn't realize this sucks. But okay. One thing I want to point out before we move on is that Biden knows that he's got to like sell his agenda to the American people. So there's that big Build Back Better bill that did not pass. It's got all kinds of, deep infrastructural things, including home care, money for expanded Medicaid, climate provisions. There's all kinds of good stuff in there. Manchin Cinema have been thwarting it for a really long time. And this week, we'll talk about voting rights in a second, but he knows he's got to get out there and talk. So here he is admitting that he needs to do a better job of selling his agenda.
I have to make clear to the American people what we are for. We passed a lot. We passed a lot of things that people don't even understand what's in it, understandably. I remember saying to President Obama when he passed the Affordable Care Act, I said, you ought to take a victory lap. And he said, there's so many things going on, we don't have time to take a victory lap. As a consequence, no one knew what the detail of the legislation was. They don't know a lot of the detail of what we pass. So the difference is, I'm going to be out on the road a lot, making the case around the country with my colleagues who are up for re-election and others, making the case of what we did do and what we want to do.
Okay, I think that's a good start, especially considering the Democrats are looking at a tough 2022 midterm, so they're like scared. So good, get out there, campaign with Democrats, try and, talk about what you did, because we know the American Rescue Plan, no Republican voted for it, and yet the Republicans are trying to take credit for it. They're like, yeah, we did that. Oh, you're welcome. And so I think it's good. The thing I will say, though, is that, like, you got to have a plan that people are excited about if you really want to sell it. And you can't do that by stripping or like paring everything down and being like, we're not extending the child tax credits, but wasn't it good when you had it? Remember $1,400? Like, people don't remember $1,400 now. Like, shit is a new world in this 2022, more people are getting sick. More people are out of work. People are quitting because they hate their jobs. Like, they're not paying them enough. There's a whole new set of that $15 minimum wage could have really come in goddamn handy in 2022. So yeah, there's that's any final thoughts on Biden before we move on?
I think as a whole, Democrats don't gloat enough. Like the asshole nature of most politicians, anyway, is to gloat. And I say that, come from people who are politicians in my family, and I love them. They're great people, but
gloat.
I come from gloats. I'm a comedian, of course. I come from gloat, but it is like I feel like Republicans do it so much better and more effective that they're like, yeah, I'm an asshole, and they succinctly say it. Like whatever Trump said. It only took 5 words, a lot of it because he was stupid as hell. But it's like the 5 words got the point across of what he was trying to get, whether it was racist or mean or just plain shitty. He got it across real quick. And Democrats don't do that enough. There's like a lot of like extra wording they use that just people don't take in. It's like, come on, just tell us what's good. Like,
yeah, cool. At least sign the checks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're gonna issue, at least put your name on it. I can't believe we all cashed a check with Donald Trump's fucking signature on it. If someone was like, I was like, I hate this so much.
Yeah.
And yes, I will cash. Yes, I will put it in my bank
I should be getting more from him. He's got more money than this, right?
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.